John Cougar is coming to the Chaffetz Arena? Did I hear that?
No way.
I thought I heard that.
My theme
I
song.
like John Cougar.
I love John
He took
Cougar.
off Mellencamp,
do
didn't he?
too.
It's just John, or is it John Mellencamp?
Don't bet. Just he's Johnny to his buddies. Ladies and
It's Johnny.
It's Johnny.
Symbol. I don't know.
That is the tones of Kathy Helbig. Drove by your office last night. Looking
Oh,
great.
did you?
Looking great.
Should have knocked on the door.
It was at 9 o'clock at night. I was coming home from the movies, but
Gotcha.
right there on what is that road? Is that
Long Road,
Long
Chesterfield
Road, and
Crossing.
yeah, right there. Yeah. Kathy Helbig. She's been in the business a number of years, 20 plus years. She looks like she's 25. 314-276-SOLD or KathyHelbigGroup.com. Another earth-shattering, myth-busting show today. What are you gonna break our hearts with today?
Guys, price per square foot is not the way to price a house.
Oh.
It's not how you determine values.
Oh, my
Sorry
goodness.
to disappoint so many people that want to boil it down to something that's that simple.
But isn't it some type of rule of thumb?
Yeah.
Not really. It's really the comparative approach that you have to look at when you're pricing a home, because you can have a house. Okay, think about this. A McBride house
Right.
versus a Fisher-Frictal house.
Right.
Same size, way different houses, right?
Right.
Because dollar per square foot, that's how some of those builders advertise low dollar per square foot, because it's box and drywall, and
Right.
then you've got to add for everything else to it. So when you're really talking about a dollar per square foot formula, if you look at the way the appraisers do, they take the comparative approach and find the most similar size and style house. So that's where the the confusion of square foot comes in. Similar style and how many bedrooms and bathrooms. Is it the same layout? Like, you don't really compare a ranch to a two-story. They cost different to build. They take bigger footprints. So you find the most comparable house, and then you have to start eliminating or adding the different features, amenities, location, lot premiums. All of that stuff comes into play then. So that's where dollar per square foot goes out the window, because you can have two completely different houses to look at.
Right.
And then appraisers don't even really, so they'll look, after what they do is they find two houses that are pretty much alike. Now, one's going to have a finished basement, yours doesn't.
Right.
One's going to have an updated kitchen, yours doesn't. But yours has a pool, theirs doesn't. So that's where the whole plus minus thing starts coming in. So they got to take that subject comp of your house and the ones that are the most that they can find like it, and strip it down or add to it to make it be apples to like your house. And that's by, let's say, in that house that's sold with a finished lower level sold for $380 and yours doesn't have one. So then they would act like it doesn't have a finished lower level then. So what if it didn't? Well, we'd knock it off $15,000.
But let's say there's a house up the street from me that's sold, and it's got $195 per square foot. My house is clearly nicer than that house. I got a finished basement. I have an updated kitchen. I got a bigger backyard. I have a 3-car garage. They don't. Clearly, I'm more than $195 up the street.
That's what I mean. Because if you looked at dollar per square foot, it would say you're worth way less than you are. So you would take that house, add the 3-car garage, add the better features, add the better kitchen, add a better neighborhood. Like, all of that's part of location too.
Right.
And then you would say, okay, if that house had all of the things I had, then based on what we're allowed to plus up for how much more is a bedroom worth, how much more is a pool worth, you start adding that on to that other house. And that's the comparative approach. So it's now assuming that if that house had all these things based on what it sold for down here,
So that's to
it
your
would sell for
advantage.
higher. Then, this is where everybody gets confused, then at the end, after they've made them all equal, then they go, and the size of it divided by this would be blank per square foot. So that's where the square foot comes from. It's spit out at the end. It's not calculated from the beginning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I know. But just as long as I take the square foot and I'm like, my house is way nicer. So.
It's
So
way
it's
nicer.
to your advantage.
And see, square foot is also above grade. In Missouri, you're not allowed to count the basement finishes. Well, a
Doesn't
lot
make
of
any
houses
sense.
have a lot of money in the basement. It doesn't mean we don't give it a plus value. So it's not factored in the dollar per square foot value, but it's factored in the total living area value. So it's features.
What do you mean the below ground doesn't count?
Below grade in Missouri is not considered square footage.
Yeah, they don't add that as square footage.
Correct. It's called total living area. Two different things because it's built out at a different cost. per square foot.
What about like one of those houses where it's like half the basement's half buried and half
So
not
the
buried?
municipality makes the call on that, but generally in Missouri, like the standard rule of thumb for appraisals is above grade. There's atrium ranches where half the house is open, so sometimes you'll get some people that'll factor that in, which is why Zillow and those type of algorithm calculations of what houses are worth are terrible, because you've got people in there going, hey, I feel like my house is really not 2,800 square feet. It's 4,200 square feet because my basement's finished. So I'm going to go in and override Zillow
Right.
and change my square footage. And now everybody's using a different bar to measure on when you're talking about square footage and total living area.
Which is why we just call you.
It's helpful, yes.
Just call Kathy Helbig. She'll figure it all out for you.
Yes.
314-276-SOLD. 314-276-SOLD or the website, KathyHelbigGroup.com. Good stuff.
Thank you.
843, Big